You're watching Duct Tape and Popsicle Sticks with Mike and Maria Keiser. Because sometimes you feel like your business is being held together by duct tape and popsicle sticks. On this show, you're not going to hear the latest business fad. You're going to get useful information that you can apply to your own business right now.
Hello and thanks for watching another episode of Duct Tape and Popsicle Sticks. I'm Mike Keiser along with, well, the most spectacular woman I've ever known in the world, Maria Keiser. How are you today?
Thank you. That's nice of you.
The world needs to know. They already know about all your world records and your hobbies and all that.
That's
but
true, yeah.
They need to know you're one of the most spectacular people walking the planet.
Wow.
So we're honored to have you here today.
Okay.
Yes. So, and actually, I think we should get right to the topic today because, well, this was Maria's idea and kind of her area of expertise. So, and it might take just a tiny bit longer than 3 minutes, although we won't make it go too long. But, you know, we're getting tons and tons of questions from our clients and other people about hiring and vetting and finding the right candidate. So for a lot of small business owners whose business is evolving, they aren't necessarily HR experts and don't really know, boy, how should I be finding the right candidate? And every hire is critical for any business, truthfully, but especially for a small business in a critical role, like management, operations, sales, a critical position. And so more and more of our clients have been coming to you. So I thought maybe you could talk for a few minutes today about vetting and hiring.
Sure. So we are really only going to cover the whole portion of how do you even vet someone to even sit in the interview chair, because the whole process would be way too long. But if we hear collective groans when we talk about goal setting, there are way more collective groans when the subject of I need to make a hire comes up, because it's so stressful for the business owner. How do you know? Are they telling the truth? How do you get the right person? It's such a big risk. I'm taking money out of my pocket. All these things come up. So here are a couple tips to help you at least vet the job candidate to the point where they're sitting in the chair to interview you. So the first thing you want to do is create a job description. And this is a very important piece, because you need to identify what exactly do you need this person to do and make sure it's pretty clear as to what you're going to expect from that person. And a lot of times people will just jump to, well, they need to be a college graduate. Well, they may need to be a college graduate because maybe you're hiring a position that requires them to have that degree. But if they don't need to, then don't make that a mandatory thing, because you could be missing out on a lot of people.
So you're saying after a very clear job description, then come up with the clear qualifications, and it might mean college, it might not mean college, it might mean entirely something else.
Right, but we can tell if the person's qualified by other things. And so here are a couple other little tips. So when you put that job request out to the world, whether you're posting it on Indeed, on LinkedIn, on another job site, wherever you're posting it, give them a set of instructions as to how to get this resume to you. Maybe you might want to say, email me a cover letter and a resume. And so if they call you and they don't send you those things, then they missed the directions.
A restaurant owner that we know was just saying this last week. He was saying, I say cover letter and resume. Do you think I get a cover letter 50% of the time?
Right.
No.
Well, but that's the good news. So now you've eliminated 50% of those candidates. You don't even have to consider them, because they can't follow a first direction. So they have to email you the cover letter, the resume, and email it to the email address that you asked them to send it to.
Right.
So that's the first set of directions. Then the second thing you want to do is you want to contact them. Once they've met that qualification, how do they answer the phone? Are they hairy? Do they sound grumpy? What do they sound like when they answer the phone? And then what do they sound like when they're talking to you? That can tell you a lot about who this person is and how they can handle their day. The other thing is then set up that phone appointment. And another great vetting tool is if they're working and they say, oh, don't worry about it, you can just call me at work. Well, that's a red flag. That means when they're working for you and they're looking for their next job, they'll take other
Right,
calls
maybe
too.
they could say, boy, I'm currently working, can we talk at 7 a.m. or could we talk at 6
Right,
p.m.
right.
if it's not too inconvenient?
Right.
And you've also talked about subtle things like email addresses and voicemail. So if your email address is goofball@aol.com, you're saying that can be a red flag too?
Well, it could be a red flag, or it could be like, oh, I just found the person I'm looking for. Maybe
True.
you're looking for a goofball.
Maybe you're looking for goofball
So
at
you can
AOL,
tell a
right.
lot by someone's voicemail message, the way they left that message, the way they their email addresses. Sometimes you can identify their hobbies. So you can tell a lot about someone just by those little subtle things. Now, when you call them, let's say you leave them a voicemail, how long does it take them to call you back? If it's 5 to 7 days, I mean, even if it's 2 days, if they're actively looking for a job, that's too much time to have gotten back to you. Eliminate that candidate. So what you're really doing is you're watching all those other things, because once they talk to you on the phone, they're going to tell you everything you want to hear.
They're going to
But-
tell you, but you've also said, though, but you'll know in the conversation, have they visited the website?
Right.
Do they understand the company? Do they
Right.
understand what we're asking
Right.
of them?
If they say, which job was this for again, and they didn't recognize your company name, then that means they're just sending out a ton of resumes.
Right.
Now, when you have hundreds of resumes that come in, it's easy to do that vetting process. But where I see business owners really getting, well, God, only 2 people responded to this job. But still, if they didn't apply the right way, then you're not doing yourself a favor by now taking on an additional set of work. Because once you
Right.
bring someone on, they are going to need to be trained. They're going to need to be acclimated. So follow that vetting process very carefully. When you have your phone interview with them, and set up that phone interview. Do they answer the phone on the first or second ring? Are they in a space where they can have the interview, or is there chaos going on in the background? Did they not prepare for that time? So these just are a couple of things to evaluate prior to sitting down and taking them through the extensive interview process you're going to put them through.
And I know we're going a little over today.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but two huge things really jump out. Is one thing you have not brought up at all are the hard skills for the job. So are you saying that is just kind of a given? Like you need the skills or the proper experience for the job, but in the vetting,
Right.
you're asking almost nothing.
So this is assuming you've looked through their resume and they look like somebody that has potential to come work for you. So yes, I did omit that part.
But it's interesting that you're not focused on that at all. And the second thing that jumps out at me is, as we all know, everybody watching, that most jobs are gotten, they call it through the hidden job market, through networking, through connections. But that being said, take them through this whole process anyway, because sometimes you're just being introduced because it's their brother-in-law and they need a job.
Right.
So don't just make assumptions that they're qualified.
I think we've talked about this before. Create a process and follow your process, because when you don't follow your process, it will bite you.
There you go.
Yes.
That's a good way to end that segment. And so please pay attention to this. Watch it again if you need to. We know it's just such a huge question that a lot of small business owners have, big business owners as well. In the meantime, visit our website, mentalcompass.com. Go and take our complimentary business assessment. It's very eye-opening. You're not going to get bombarded with sales letters and stuff afterwards. Take it. We're happy to even talk to you about the results. In the meantime, go back and watch all of these videos, and probably 250 or so episodes of our podcast are on the website as well. So just go and have some fun at mentalcompass.com. In the meantime, thanks a million for watching. You've been watching Duct Tape and Popsicle Sticks, and we will catch you next time.
Ciao for now.
You're watching Duct Tape and Popsicle Sticks with Mike and Maria Keiser.